coming from New York City, I'm a Harlem boy. We were actually street buddies. Right. And he introduced me to Tupac Shakur. And unfortunately, I was born in an environment where it was pretty rough.
I'm the founder and artistic director of Revive Dance Center. And someone's Louis Taylor. So everybody give it up and you guys are done.
First Choice One is way different than the music industry.
And attorney Leslie Federico's through
should be restored to full capacity today.
To me, if you believe someone doesn't...
Yes, you're so nice when you explain that. Tell her what really happened. I didn't know what I was doing when I was writing the courtroom scene and you couldn't take it any longer. You said,
Two words. I can. On the count of three. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
You have fun. Well, the other is not, right?
All of us would be successful. Some people think they can do it by themselves. Life is my best friend. So when you meet your best friend, man, we've been together 30 years. Because outside of the box, and they didn't like that. They want you in the box. Surprisingly, the only thing that's on the back is fear.
For those who are watching, Leslie still got some dance moves in there. I mean, this is the last hee-haw for me. After that,
yeah.
Well, bless their heart. That's what they say out here in the South.
Married an ugly baby.
Oh,
You said, "Oh, baby, bless her heart."
Why do you think I have all these different names? Okay, this realization that I'm a lot of different people inside. I mean,
Right.
if you saw the hip hop videos of me dancing,
Oh
and
my
you see me
God.
in court, you never believe it.
But why limit yourself just to one thing? That's so boring. I mean,
It is boring, right? It is boring.
Don't give up. If something's hard, don't give up. Keep excelling. And because when you finally get it, it's going to mean that much more. If everything seems easy, where's the excitement once it's achieved?
I always think outside the box, and they didn't like that.
I'm somebody like you will never meet, ever meet. I am a lawyer. I used to be a chemistry and biology teacher, and I was also a dancer, actress, and social media influencer.
Welcome. Thank you for joining the first episode of Wisdom at the Table, brought to you by Prism Co. We hope today's conversation that we have is going to be encouraging and an uplifting one. We're here to share stories, insights, and lessons to inspire growth without the noise of politics or religion. So pull up a chair and let's talk. I'm your host, Stephen R. F. Edwards, life coach and public speaker. Welcome again to Wisdom at the Table. Today's topic is going to be an interesting one. We're going to be discussing one word. One word we're going to discuss. And this is a word, more or less, that affects everyone, not just in our country, but in the world. And that one word is fear. Fear. When you think about the word fear, what comes to your mind? Is it a scary feeling that exudes emotion and causes stress inside you, that it really puts you in an anxiety mode that makes you frozen, where you feel like you don't move? Or Is your fear different from that? Is it serve or does it serve as a form or protection? So here's the question I'm going to ask today. Is fear a negative or a positive? What do you think? Well, some might say it might be a negative. Well, here's Webster's Dictionary, American English Dictionary. It says, fear, this explanation that it gives, it says, fear is an unpleasant emotion caused by expectation or awareness of danger. Okay, that's the fear that we basically are used to, right? A fear of danger. Well, if you break the sentiments down to it, it's expect or probable or one do, or probable means seeming true or real or to have a good chance of. Seeming means to give the impression of being. Impression means a vague notion or recollection. Vague means not clear, definite, or distinct. Think about that for a minute. Really, it's no factual reason for this type of fear. However, uh, the other synonyms for that is fear is also awareness, meaning having realization or consciousness. Realization make actual or obtain, or consciousness mentally awake or alert and attentional. So we see both pendulums to that, don't we? We see basically on one hand, uh, fear is something that can be looked at as a negative. But here in this context, the other pendulum of that, in some cases, fear is a positive. How's that so? How so? Well, really, when we examine negative fear, what comes to your mind? Well, if you look at some of these bullet points, it mentions that uh, fear of responsibility can be one, or fear of not being accepted amongst your peers. It has one in there, fear of saying yes when you know you should say no, fear of being caught doing something wrong, fear of rejection, fear of being judged, fear of looking foolish, fear of living, fear of death. Well, is it true that bad fear can affect important decisions that you make in your life? Sure, it could. Really, when we think about this type of fear, we want to feel this way. We don't want to feel this way, excuse me. If you want to be buried before your body actually and physically dies, let negative fear take control of you. Of course, that's a quote from myself. Think about that for a moment, people. When we allow fear to consume us, it can stop us from growing in a positive direction. It also can lend itself to the rampage of illness and stresses. So, what do we do? If we're that person who is consumed by fear, how do we get ourselves out of it? How do we come out of that way of thinking? Well, of course, it's important for us to change the way of thinking. Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, a 20th century speaker, once said, I always used to get nervous before I stand up before a crowd. I stand up in front of an audience because I have profound respect for the people. The responsibility makes me a bit nervous. Now, think about that type of fear. You see, Dr. Norman wasn't fearful, he was in fear of standing in front of people, of an audience. Because why? He had profound respect for people. And he took it as a responsibility. And if you think about that for a moment, you might come to terms with the fact that really positive fear is the way we should feel. So, what is positive fear? Positive fear can help you make good, strong decisions in your life and sustaining your existence. How? Well, if we look, if how we look at things and how we view life and our attitude. And William Shakespeare said, "All the world's a stage, and all the men and women are merely players." So really, when you have that frame of mind, where does it put you? Well, it puts you in a situation where uh, you change your way of thinking, and now your attitude becomes a positive one. We have to recognize the world that we're in and find a place in it. Why? Well, if we think about it, um, we know that in our attitudes are very lively, right? Having fear is something that basically puts us in a situation we can be affected by it in a negative sense. Seems like I lost some connection, so I'm trying to get back. I hope you guys still hear me. Um, Let me see if my connections is coming back. You guys still hear me? Great. So I'm just waiting for my slide to come up. So let me get back to my slide. Okay, there you go. Here it is. Fear the decision of assuming more debt than living above your means. Is that fear, that type of fear, healthy? Well, of course. If you assume more debt, then guess what? You put yourself in a position where you can be affected in a negative way, right? How about this? Fear of displeasing your peers or those who support you in a positive way. They are pursuing positive careers in education and spirituality. So these are people who surround you that are positive people, people that promote you to be better. Wouldn't you not want to disappoint those people? So having that type of fear is healthy. How about this one? Fair responsibility, but meeting it head on, looking for the next challenge. Sometimes people get challenges that they might see that's difficult. They can tell that that challenge is a challenge that basically is going to take some real effort. But do they use the negative fear to meet that challenge? No. A matter of fact, if they use the negative fear to meet that challenge, then guess what? That challenge is failed. It's failed, right? So they take responsibility by meeting that challenge head on. Fearing the fall, but not feeling like you fail. So get up and try again. You know, one of the things that I I've come across uh, in life is the fact of watching people, and I probably was a victim of this myself at some point before I matured and understood life challenges. Is the fact of making a mistake and failing. Really, those two things are really crossroads for people in life. What do I mean by that? Well, none of us are perfect. We all make mistakes, do we not? But if in fact that mistake that you made makes you feel like you failed, then it takes the inspiration out of you to get up again. So really, when you make a mistake and you fail, means that you are experiencing and learning what has happened at that point. And what that does, when you try again, it gives you more chances to succeed. Do you understand what I'm saying? Failing or making a mistake is really not failing. If you get up, if you stand up, if you try again, don't become the mistake that you made. Because when that happens, that's negative fear. How about this one? Fear of not taking care of yourself or health. So you manage your eating habits without compromising your health. I think when it comes to, or compromising your health, when it comes to uh, men, I think men have trouble with this because we don't like going to doctors. I grew up going to a doctor. My mom made sure that we kept our appointments. My wife says I was really the only man she ever knew that when she was dating me, I told her I couldn't take her out on a date because I had a doctor's appointment that day. So really, I always really paid attention to my health. But as I got older and the system changed, and I saw the way the uh, the medical world changed its dynamics, it kind of made me fearful, to be honest. Um, it put me in a position where I was, if I didn't know the doctor or didn't get a real good referral, then there would be a level of fear of making that appointment. So now, thank thank goodness that I have excellent doctors that make sure that my health is fine. But at the same time, if I was fearful and I was consumed with that, then guess what? I would not have uh, the option or the ability to put myself in a position where I can have a healthy life. So many times, uh, I've heard stories of people who have gone to the hospital, and I had a friend. This is an example I'll tell you about a friend of mine. He was a young man. He was younger than me. He was in his early 40s. He had three little girls. One was 10, I think one was 6, and the other one was 2 years old, and a wife. And he did not like going to the doctor. And he was dealing with some back pain that he was feeling. And I'm not trying to scare the audience. I'm just giving you an example of what fear can do. Well, finally, when he couldn't take it anymore, he went to the doctor. And unfortunately, they found that he was in stage 4 with cancer. They couldn't help him. But what if he would have acted earlier, right? He used his fear to say, you know what? I'm going to go and find out what this is right now. Really, we cannot. A doctor told us this, my wife and I. He said, never get used to feeling pain. Why is that? Because that's your body telling you that something is wrong. So that means that if you feel pain, you should go check it out. That's your body telling you that something is wrong. So fear should have you make sure that you're healthy. Make sure that you keep your appointments. Make sure that you go to your doctor. If you have health insurance, if you don't have health insurance, get health insurance. Do what you have to do to make sure that you're healthy. Don't let fear consume you. Let's see if I can get to the next slide here. Here's one. It takes courage. This is by Samuel Clemens. Courage is resistance to fear. Mastery over fear, not the absence of fear. Fear is natural and normal. It's a natural and normal reaction that we need to survive. How we harness fear can steer us in the right or the wrong direction. Without fear, we would not succeed. Give you another example. Say, for instance, that you're standing on a train track, and ahead of you, you see a train approaching. Well, fear is going to do two things. It's going to either make you frozen and stand on that track, or it's going to make you so fearful that you're going to get off that track. And you know what's interesting is fear is connected to a form of wisdom if you use it in a positive way. What do I mean by that? Well, you have the knowledge that the train is coming, do you not? You see it. The lights are blaring. It's getting closer. Well, fear is going to tell you, get off the track. That's also wisdom. Positive fear fuels wisdom. Positive fear fuels wisdom. Practice confidence and faith, and your fears and insecurities will soon have no power over you. This is by Dr. Norman Vincent Peale. Really, if we practice confidence, because positive fear needs to be fueled by self-confidence. Say that again. Positive fear needs the fuel of self-confidence to build faith. And really, when that happens, the insecurities that we do have, we all have them. We all experience them. But really, when we have this positive fear, those insecurities will not have power over us. Here's the downside of negative fear. If fear is speculated with no concrete evidence, right? It's the dictionary's version of fear, probable or seeming, impression or vague. It is then that is only bringing to an end our dreams and accomplishments. That's the negative side of fear. That's the fear that we don't want to experience. But the positive side of fear is this. Only when we control and use to promote it, the energy in a positive way, only if it can be looked at and used as a safety measure. Only if it can also be used to make crucial decisions. And only if you can use it in a proper way, then fear can be contributed or contribute to a healthy life. Do you believe that? As we talked about prior, we know negative fear is debilitating. I know people who are brilliant people, brilliant, but the world doesn't know how brilliant they are because they harness negative fear. They are afraid to show the world who they are because of negative fear. See, a fearless person doesn't experience those things. Those people have positive fear. Give you example. And I'm not talking from saying that I have this mastered down to a science myself. I'm always working on trying to create positive fear. I'm a script writer. That's what I do on the side. If you've seen the video that my partner and I have, her name is Leslie Federigo. Uh, we partnered together to write scripts. And really, before I met her, I have been writing scripts since I was 9 years old. 9. And now I'm almost in my 60s, late 50s, and I still write scripts. And my wife would tell me all the time, your scripts, you should show them to somebody. You have something. Uh, the world needs to see it. And do you know how long it took for me to put my first script out? Well, I've been writing scripts since I was 9 years old. But the first script I put out was in 2025. 2025. How many years went by of my writing? Now I'm almost in my 60s. And my first script I ever let the world see was in 2025. The only reason for that was my fear, the negative fear that I possessed inside. I was afraid that people would see what I wrote and criticize it and take that fire away from me. I didn't look at it in a positive way, where criticism in that way can help you to be better. Well, I have no other fears that were that devastating, but that particular one was a hindrance to me. 2025 is where I've been writing over 40 years. 2025 was my first script that let the world see. Think about that for a minute. You see, people, we can't allow our fears to stunt our growth. Our fears is part of our makeup. Frankly, D. Roosevelt said, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself, nameless, unreasoning terror, which paralyzes the needed effort. What doesn't kill me makes me stronger, the French novelist Albert said. Theodore Roosevelt also said, if a man acts fearlessly long enough, he will eventually become a respected practice. So really, if we put ourselves in a position where we master the negative fear, but enhance our positive fear, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And that's a comforting thought. If you harness your fears and you put them in perspective, then you can let the healthy fear you have inside challenge you to be better. What does that mean? Well, let's use myself as an example again with script writing. I finally put it out. And guess what? The fears that I had, and I was thinking that how people was going to criticize me, they came. People told me what parts of my script they didn't like. I remember a guy showed my script to a guy, and he told me that I need a diction class. Could you believe that? He said, "Go get your diction." Well, that it could have destroyed me, but guess what I did? I took what he said. I took what he said to heart, and I went back and I rewrote that script again and again and again until I perfected it. And now that script is ready to go, along with several others. Let fear contribute to your life of less pain and more happiness. Let fear not be misplaced. However, put fear in its proper place. Never let it control who you are. Never let it lock you away from the world knowing who you are. Let it not stop you from helping others who might struggle with fear. Fear can be debilitating, right? Excuse me. It can be very debilitating. And if in fact we put ourselves in a position of fear, then guess what? We're going to debilitate ourselves. You ever heard of walking dead people? People think of it as zombies. But I'm not talking about zombies. I'm talking about people who consume negative fear. People who put themselves in a position that negative fear paralyzes them. With their eyes open, they're like dead people, like zombies. We never want to allow fear to control us in that way. We need to let the world know who we are. Be courageous. Be forthcoming. Take healthy risks. Understand that fear is to help you make good decisions. Don't go out and buy things that are above your means. Be fearful of that. Because really, what does that do? It's going to put you in a position where now you're working for material things. And it's going to take away your true happiness. Be fearful of not going to your doctor, of not keeping those important appointments, because we want to be preventative. We don't want to go to the doctor when we have no choice and they can't help us anymore because we are too late. Don't allow fear to paralyze you. Fear can control you. Negative fear can control you. But positive fear can free you. So, what do we learn? Well, we learned that fear is a two-way street, did we not? You can go to the left with negative fear, or you can go to the right with negative fear, right? I mean, with positive fear, excuse me. And then you have a choice, right? Everyone is going to experience fear. Everyone. It's what we do, how we process them. It's what's going to make us who we are. And guess what? We're going to sometimes succumb to some fear. It's true. We're going to succumb to some fear. And when that happens, that doesn't mean we fail. What that means is that we have the opportunity, as long as we're breathing, as long as we have the energy to try again, we have the opportunity to be better. Don't allow fear to control you. Thank you for watching. Again, thanks for joining us at Wisdom at the Table. It's brought to you by Prism Co. We hope today's conversation gave you something to think about, something to feel, or something to grow from. Until next time, stay grounded, stay curious, and keep showing up.
Now the reason why we're doing this today, because it takes all of us to be successful. Some people think they can do it by themselves, but that's not true. You see, I needed help to do what I need to do in life. I needed somebody else with the same belief system in me to push me to go forward so that I can be successful in life. See, I was raised, I'm from New York City, Harlem, New York, born and raised there. And I was in a rough, you say you from there too? Brother? Okay, very good. So I was born and raised there. And unfortunately, I was born in an environment where it was pretty rough. Well, I had a single parent. She was raising 6 children. I'm the youngest of the 6. I had 3 older sisters and 2 older brothers. And my older brothers, they left early in life, so they left me home with 4 women. It was not too bad. But at the same time, what I had to do was I had to become the man of the house. Young ladies, on the count of 3, quiet down. On the count of 3, I want you to say these 2 words. I can. On the count of 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Wow, y'all are the parents that are here today. You raise your hand, parents, guardians. I want you guys to turn around and look at this. Okay? Those are our parents. And I want our parents to remember one thing. I want you to say this one thing when I ask you to say it. I will help you. Can you say it real loud on the count of 3? 1, 2, 3.